ZombieTech. Welcome to ZombieTech, a forum for engineers, scientists, and inventors to ponder on the technologies needed to survive the inevitable zombie apocalypse.
She's Eddie.
He's Whisker.
And who do we have this week?
Today we have the creator of Tindy, Emile Patrone.
Oh, I know that guy.
Yes, you do. Hi, Emile.
Hey.
How is it going?
Going well. How are you guys?
Can't complain. It's
By his tweets, I'd say it was going very well.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's a big deal. It's a very big deal. So, you are the creator of Tindy. What is Tindy, and how'd you come up with the idea for it?
Sure. So basically, the site is kind of like an Etsy for tech, just a place for people to buy and sell homemade tech stuff they make, whether it could be chips, shields, boards, robots, you name it. It's probably on there.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I came up with the idea was I wasn't really looking to start a company. I just wanted to get interested. I was interested in tech or hardware, and I wanted to kind of just learn more about it, but also kind of support people that were doing interesting things, because it seemed like there were a lot of articles coming out recently where people are making cool stuff like that. The kid at Berkeley that automated his room. And yeah, I mean, I just wanted to learn more about it because it seemed like people were doing a lot of cool stuff, and that's the type of stuff I would rather spend money on that stuff than, I guess, stuff other people spend money on, which I don't know what that means about me, but yeah. So I just wanted to support those guys. So that was the idea, and then it kind of took off from there.
Sure. And what exactly does Tindy mean?
So that came from just indie tech.
Oh, okay.
And then I just moved the T in front, and then the domain was available. So
nice.
I pounced right then and there because I didn't understand how that had slipped through people's fingers. But
naturally, everybody would want Tindy.com.
That's right.
Cool. Yeah. So are there any particularly cool projects that you've seen come up on Tindy so far?
Yeah. I think probably the coolest is the robot that plays Angry Birds from Jason Huggins. Sorry. So that is probably the craziest thing that was there from day one. I mean, he posted that when I was just looking for like projects for people to post to kind of stock the shelves before I opened it in the public. And once I saw that, I was like, what in the world is this thing? And the craziest part is that it works. That's the most mind-boggling thing. Is it's a robot that will play Angry Birds on your iPhone or your iPad.
How well does it play it though?
Pretty well. I mean, he demoed it at PyCon, and he's demoed it at a lot of other conferences, and there's like tons of videos all over the web of it. I mean, it's actually legit. If it wasn't if there wasn't like video evidence of this thing working, then I would be very suspect. But it's crazy, and
nice.
People, which is cool. So yeah,
I think it's also a fun statement on the kinds of people who play Angry Birds.
Sure.
Yeah.
Robots?
I think there's lots of robots that are playing it. It's kind of, what is it? The new Blue, or what was the IBM chess playing computer?
The Blue Gene.
Yeah, there you go.
They actually build those right up the street from here.
That's true.
Yeah, the IBM supercomputer research and manufacturing facilities are here in Rochester, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm. Now, so that robot is kind of like a one-off thing, and I don't know if you actually sold it.
Yeah, no, I saw multiple.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah,
so
he sold out for a little bit.
So then, are most people making like one-off items, or are they making like kits and such?
So far, it's been the majority of people are actually making. So there's a lot of kits on there, but I think that people are also like trying to sell gadgets that they can reproduce. So you've got the robot, you've got there's like an LED kit on here for like wall programming, like a wall of lights. I think it's mainly people that want to try and like reproduce their products. But I'm getting emails. I actually got an email yesterday from a guy that said he's got like one-off projects that he wants to sell, and he didn't know if it was like a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, just throw it up there. I mean, the site's only 2 months old, so it's pretty.
Defining fit at 2 months is a little difficult.
Yeah,
right.
I'm not going to reject anything. I mean, No, I haven't rejected anything, but there was somebody put jewelry up on there for a while, and that was just bonkers.
Was it like techie jewelry though?
It was, and I feel sorry. I'm sorry, whoever the person is out there. I don't know you, but I'm sorry for saying this. So it was like chips taken off old boards and then set in resin. You're supposed to like wear it. I just didn't understand, and neither did the community.
It's a hipster thing.
Yeah, I guess. I don't even know. It was too hip for hipsters, I think.
I guess it also depends on what kind of chips they were. If they were like just no name, I mean, don't even know. You know, like if it was like a Sid chip, yeah, I can see why some people wouldn't.
Somebody in the face for putting a Sid chip inside of epoxy and not using it for something else.
Well, maybe it doesn't work.
But yeah, that's the sort of thing, like a 555 or a Sid or some chip like that people absolutely adore. It would make sense to do something like that with.
Just saying.
But just some random unmarked Chinese chip off of a random board.
Shoot, I could do that.
See, that's what I kind of got the impression was. There's probably somebody from like Etsy that found the site and thought that this would appeal to people, and it kind of got the opposite reaction.
Sure.
So
it went up, and then people were like, "What is this?" And then
and then it came down.
Gotcha. Okay.
But, yeah, no, I think so far it's just been a lot of people. There are a ton of people out there that are trying to make a living off of selling parts that they make, kits that are due, and it seems like they haven't had a place to actually sell them properly. You know, it's the hard part is finding a community that actually wants it, and there hasn't been a place to do that. I mean, you can put it on eBay, but that's not really the right fit.
Yeah, with eBay and Etsy, there's so much stuff up there that nobody's ever actually going to see what you put up if it's that, esoteric or niche, but Tindy's small enough where everybody pages through the whole listing. So
right. Yeah.
Although the risk then is, of course, when it gets big, as big as Etsy, then how do you end up?
Well, you make another one called Bindi or something.
So I do own
keep
Tindy.
Jumping.
Dindy?
Yeah.
What's Dindy?
Well, that I just own it. I got it. So anything that starts with a D, if you can come up with a D, like I was just going through the letters.
Yeah, it's Plan D.
It could be like Duino Dindy.
Yeah.
I mean Duino Indy. Sorry, Indy Duino.
There you go.
That might work.
That's taken. You may want to check.
Yeah, we'll have to check. So then, for these products and such, who ends up handling the support of the products, and then who verifies like that the quality of the products and the functionality?
Yeah. So I mean, right now I'm just saying that the sellers are the ones that have to handle that. I mean, I can't do everything with just being one guy, and I'm swamped out in my ears.
Yeah.
So,
and that really does make sense. I mean, who's going to call eBay to get technical support on, some random thing they bought?
Totally.
Well, I'm wondering, because I don't know this aspect very well, but you know how quite a few sites have like buyer protection, in terms of if this doesn't work, then you can lodge a complaint with us and we'll figure out something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's kind of something that I'll have to cross when I get there. So far I haven't had that problem.
Oh, good.
I have had, where people are waiting weeks for a product, but that's just because it's taken the maker a long time to actually, source the parts and actually build it.
Right.
So I haven't had anybody get stiffed so far, so that's great. And I mean, I think it's just something that, I'll just cross that bridge when we get there. And, if that's happening, then hopefully the site will be big enough where it's a very small problem.
Sure. And part of it is also, I mean, the makers of these products probably have their own websites, blog sites or whatever, and their reputation is at stake. So if they're sending crap stuff out, people are like immediately pounce on that and say, hey, this does not work at all, don't buy from this person, et cetera, and then that ends up letting other people in the community know that, it's a bad idea to put their money into it. So
yeah, there's the two sides to that are, I think that's where the majority of people have been coming from, is that they've had their own websites and they've tried to generate their own traffic to sell their little gizmo. And I mean, even at this point, so right now, the last 2 months I've had like over 35,000 visitors the last each month, so 70,000 total, and then so far this month is already up to that amount, and we're just past week 1, so this month is going to be crazy.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I know we did what we could to help get the word out when you first started talking about it. I don't know how I heard about it, but I was right there even before the site was up, telling people to make sure they paid attention to it.
Yeah.
Now, what does it take to set up a website like this that maybe you didn't expect?
So there's two sides to that. So to get it set up is really simple. The hard part is scaling it. So I've hit this issue of scaling much sooner than I thought I would, and I've never had to worry about the back-end infrastructure of a site to deal with this heavy load consistently. So that's the main thing right now is scale. I mean, I'm leaning on a couple friends that are helping me out in terms of how to properly cache this thing, how to distribute them, over the course of a couple servers. As once a swarm hits like last Monday, then the site just will freeze up, and it's how to handle that properly. And I'm still learning that. And
sure,
so it's a learning curve for me right now. That's definitely the biggest thing.
Sure. Any well, I don't want to say, is there any advice you'd give to other people setting something up like this? Because you don't really want other people to set something up like this.
Yeah. If you're setting up any other website that's not similar to this in any way, what advice would I give you?
Right. There you go.
Yeah. So I think that the one thing I've learned is, and I've started a couple sites and I've worked for a couple pretty successful tech companies in the past. And I think the main thing is that you've got to seed each stage of the development and the iteration. So an example is when I first had this idea. I mean, I was bouncing around with friends, and people were kind of not excited about it, to be honest. And I they just weren't the right market. So the right group of people. And so I just posted the idea on Reddit. I just put up a paragraph on there and said, "Hey guys, is this something that you'd be interested in?" And people said yes. So instantly I knew that A, there was people that are interested, and B, that this community would rally behind it as I built it out. So the next step was to build the landing page and start collecting email addresses. So I did that, and people started instantly knew about the site already, so they started to sign up. The next stage was to start collecting products. So I basically said, I'm stocking the shelves. It's not open, but if you have something you'd like to sell, here's the form to fill out. And that way I had products from day one. So, I mean, each step, you just got to build up kind of what is necessary before you open it up to the public. You can't just throw it out there and expect people to all of a sudden get excited about it, which,
sure.
I think that's probably the thing that people expect, and it's probably the wrong way to do it. You got to build up kind of like that excitement and that the interest before it actually,
show it's a viable option before saying, okay, guys, now it's up here, so clearly it will be a viable option, but you guys have to trust me first, Yeah.
And there's a big difference between trying to start up something where you think you've got something that you want to go out and sell to the world, and providing a service here that is solving an obvious problem that thousands of makers bump into. People want this thing to work, so it's fairly easy to go out there and say, hey community, I have a solution, and the community is going to do a lot of the work for you because they want it to succeed, because they want to use it.
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the weird, it's not weird, but I guess it's something I didn't expect, was how much the sellers are rallying behind it, to the point where I've had one guy said that he's bought Google ads pointed at the site.
Oh, awesome.
To promote his listing.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I mean, why wouldn't you, right? I mean, if you're trying to sell your stuff there, you're obviously going to get as many inbounds as you can to at least your thing. And, people are going to notice that top part of the URL, that Tindy.com. They're going to check out and see what else is there, too. So every time somebody generates inbound links, it helps everyone else on the site, too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just, I'd never thought of that. Or, I mean,
cool.
Just blew my mind.
Sure. And, I know in reading some of the comments around the web that when you were first starting this, a lot of folks were concerned about some of the security certifications for, I guess, using a credit card to purchase items. Like, is that all situated and all settled? And
Yeah. So I don't think there was. I don't know of any specific comments, I guess, in regards to that.
Mm-hmm.
The more the issue with people that were concerned, or at least this is what maybe you've seen stuff that I haven't, but it seemed like people get really worried about kind of like the safety of the parts and whether or not things are government approved.
Oh, okay.
And that's something that because the site accepts products from all over the world, and I've got basically makers now. I've got from 12 countries. That we've shipped parts to 20 countries. It's something that it's not feasible for me to even try to police.
Sure.
So that part I've left up to the sellers, and it's been something that I just left it up to them, and that's been the main kind of thing that keeps popping up whenever there's a new blog post, or at least that's what my experience, what I've seen.
There's so many weird issues with that too. I mean, like lithium ion batteries, you can't ship them. They can't go on airplanes to be shipped around. So you have to if you were to ship one out, you have to, at least in the United States, guarantee that it's only going to take ground routes, and it has to be stamped with something and all sorts of silliness.
I guess the stuff that I've seen was mostly they wanted to purchase an item but were concerned about using their credit cards because there's errors that popped up with security certs.
That. Yeah. So that's when we moved. So we had to move the hosting provider from, initially I was using WebFaction, and the site grew obviously too quick. So we moved it over to Amazon, to EC2, and we didn't renew the cert. So the SSL cert was there. It just wasn't. It wasn't certified. I mean, it was starting to pop up intermittent errors. So once all we had to do is get a new SSL cert, and then I was fine.
And that's all taken care of.
Oh yeah.
Lovely. So for those who are oh my God, there's a security issue, he's on top of it. Yeah. He's got it taken care of.
Tindy's very much still at that sort of handshake phase too. I mean, it's only a couple months old. If you happen to know about it, you should be aware that, you're going into it with a guy who you can still actually email. You can probably call him and say, hey, dude, I need this thing, and he'll be like, okay, let me handle that for you personally. It's still a small thing. So there's going to be growing pains, like you move your website to a different server and your certs are no longer pointing at the right IP address. Obviously, you're going to get errors with that, but it's to solve a different problem. So
sure.
And then there's two. My phone number is actually in the footer, so it's public. So if you want to talk to me
for a good time,
just give me a call. So that's one thing to make people feel like this is legitimate, because I think that's one thing that people have those concerns about when they're putting a credit card. But the other thing is, and this is actually going back to your point of what are lessons that people should learn. You don't want to have a credit card actually getting to your server. So you need to make sure that doesn't happen. I'm using Stripe for the credit card processing. And so when you actually submit that form, what happens is it actually goes to Stripe. Stripe sends me back a token that is what I use to basically say that the transaction occurred. The credit card numbers actually never get to my servers or are saved, obviously, if they never get to me. So if you're trying to set up sort of a payment platform or some sort of marketplace, make sure that you're handling the credit cards properly, because if God forbid something happened, then you don't want to be on the hook for credit cards that are, floating around your servers that you don't know about.
Right. There's just too much risk for that to happen.
Yeah.
So now I know it's only what 2 months old. Is that correct? 3 months?
Yeah, I guess 2 months and a week.
2 months and a week old, but apparently the growing pains are not so bad that you are not able to quit your day job, I think.
Yeah.
Is that the latest news?
So that's what I let out of the bag last Monday or Tuesday, was that I left Urban Airship and I'm doing this full time.
So, one, fantastic. Two,
thanks.
How did you end up making that decision?
Basically, it boiled down to the site's growing by 200+% a month. And for that to continue, I couldn't just keep basically babysitting it from the sidelines.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I need to actually be, engaged and actively working on the site, because if there's enough interest in this, then somebody at some point is going to, create a new website that's going to compete with me.
Sure.
And I want to have as big of a lead as possible.
Sure.
Before they enter into the pool, so to speak. So, it was basically looking at the data and the traffic and the press, and basically it all added up to, there's something here, obviously. How big is it going to be? I had no idea. It could be relatively small. Some people have said it's just going to be a lifestyle business that, you'll make some money off of it, but, it'll just pay the bills.
Mm.
Or it could be, much bigger than that. It's who knows? I don't think anybody really knows until, this plays out for months and years ahead.
Sure. Now, based on, and you don't have to answer this question if you don't have to, but
Sure.
Based on the past couple months, do you feel that it would eventually be able to pay your bills and more?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
I wouldn't have quit.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm not doing it, I guess, for charity in that regard. Yeah, that would have been funny. I don't think it's going to pay my bills, but I'm going to leave a job and a paycheck anyway.
Yeah, I know. Hey, some folks taste the freedom, and I just had to double check. I mean, you seem like a very, sensible guy, so I would have expected it.
Yeah,
but
thanks.
Then, do you think that it's likely that you would start hiring folks to come and help, since it is such a big job for one person?
Yeah, so that's the next thing. So, in terms of, the direction of the site and, do I think it'll pay my bills? There's more to come. So
Mm-hmm.
the percent transactions is not the ultimate end game for this. So stay tuned.
Okay.
There's much more that's coming.
There's some obvious things like, once you get too many items in there, you've got it all needs to be dropped down into categories. And once it's done into categories, what do I show on the front page? Oh, what's going to make that decision? Oh, you're going to give me extra money to put your stuff on the front page? Okay. I'll take your money and that'll go on the front page, so on and so forth.
So I haven't thought, that's not it. But, that is an option, obviously. Yeah.
That's what a lot of sites have done. But,
Totally.
there's all sorts of different little things like that you can help sort of allow, the site to be more useful if people want to put more into it.
So I'll just say this, because I haven't let it out publicly. It is actually not centered around optimizing the site. So I'm just going to leave it there.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't know if, we'll see.
Just trying to tease a thread loose there.
Yeah.
But we're not journalists, so I'm not going to dig deep.
Right now, you're cold.
Oh, man.
What was the other question what was the other point that you made that I wanted? Oh, hiring people.
Yeah.
So right now I'm working with a couple friends that are much better ops backend server guys than I am.
Mm-hmm.
And, at some point that something's going to have to give. So bringing somebody else on is going to have to happen at some point.
Sure.
It's just a matter of time.
Sure. That's terribly exciting.
Yeah.
And is Tindy like an LLC, or is it so far just a website?
It's an LLC.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
One thing that I can give you for advice, having gone through the, owning your own company stuff previously and now again, is that avoid venture capital. Keep it 100% yours, and then you don't have to deal with 90% of the bullshit.
So yeah.
Oh, the conversations.
I'm just gonna
Oh man.
Anyway.
Because I know a couple of guys in San Francisco are probably calling you. They're like, "Hello, I'm an angel investor.
Yeah.
I would like to give you a lot of money," and you'll end up making, much less at the end than if you would have just said no and grown it from profits.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what.
That's just my wise advice, take it or leave it.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let's put it this way. I'm not. Yeah. Never mind.
I know of like 4 guys down there who have probably called you already, or if they haven't yet, they probably will, because there's the regular cast of characters there that like to get in on the ground floor.
If not San Fran, then New York.
Anyway.
Next question. I get it. So let's say Whisker has a project, and I know Whisker wanted to bring this up. So
I've got a lot more than one project.
Well, okay, fine.
We already registered our tymkrs brand at Tindy. I haven't put anything up yet.
Oh,
yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, we were probably one of the early accounts there.
Oh.
The first time I looked at my account page, there wasn't really anything there.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't very functional yet, but I was in there earlier today, and all of the add your item stuff is all looking pretty and nice and smooth and clean.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, I've got this proto-synth thing that I built the other day. Got on Hackaday and like 10 other blogs. I don't know, 4,000 views or something at this point, just after a couple of days. And a bunch of people have said, can I buy this? Can I have it? I want it. Please let me have this.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that pops into my head is that if I were to do something like that, I think Tindy would probably be the right place to do that, rather than an Etsy or a eBay type of thing. Normally we just use eBay, but Tindy would have the right eyeballs looking at it. But these are sort of a one-off thing. What are the considerations that I would need to make, being in my position where I've got a really cool idea, but it takes a long time to maybe make them? And the parts that are sourced are usually scavenged parts that you have to get from things. So there's this whole process of making them. It's not like I can just like order 10 of them and resell them through you. What do I need to know about your service to sort of get my head in the right spot?
Sure. So, there's a couple ways of doing that. There's something that I've been meaning to get to is the pre-order. So that, you could throw it up there and say, just like Kickstarter almost, it's like Kickstarter Lite would be, it needs to get 10 orders within the week for this to actually become live, and I'll fulfill those orders. So that's coming. I've been saying for the last month and a half that I'm going to build it, but stuff keeps popping up. So that is an option. Maybe not for this project, but maybe down the road. In terms of what's there now, you can set the number in stock on your account. So that's something that you can manually set and change, as parts come and go. And that's what people have been doing. So once there's, inventory control is built in. So once it sells out, once you say, I can build 2 of these, and once those 2 are bought, then it will say sold out. And, people can wait until that point. And if they're still interested, they can still private message you and get in touch with you directly and say, when is this coming back in stock?
Oh, cool. So they can let you know that they would like one, and, because up there where everybody can see it, they can tell that, you have sold them in the past, and they can private message you and let them know that they'd like you to build another one for them, and then that they can buy it. But I really do like the idea of a pre-order. That would make this kind of thing really easy. The thing
I don't understand why Kickstarter, all the different the different levels for Kickstarter. And I think that, at this scale, I don't need all of those things. It just needs to be a straight pre-order. So,
what it is? It's the achievement unlocked thing. Like, thing that people love. They're like, oh man, if I only spend $5 more, I'll get into the higher level. I think that's that.
Kickstarter has some of that, but for this, I think that just a straight up pre-order is the exact right solution.
Yeah, I mean, I think like for people, it's it's whether or not if there's enough orders for it, not if there's enough people that want the bumper sticker or T-shirt, That's just it just seems goofy to me, but whatever. It works for them, obviously.
This sort of project, I mean, each one would take, through the various stages, you could do more than one at a time, but all total, it takes a couple weeks to build one of these things. And to invest that kind of time when you're already, producing 2 podcasts, a TV show, and all this other stuff, I don't have time to, build 6 of these and just hope that people will buy them. But if people were to pre-order them, and especially if they were to pay up front, pre-order them, I would definitely be motivated to get some out the door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's the last option is basically you can leave it up there and have it running, and basically people will buy it when they buy it, but you can put a caveat, and this is what one of the listings is for CNC Experimenter's Shield. He's got a little note that says that it's on back order until October 1st at the earliest. So if you order it, just know that it's coming down the road. It's not going to be shipped to you this week or next week. So
sure.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of options.
Yeah.
There's a lot of handshake style business going on, which I always like.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing is that the whole idea is to work with companies that are basically, my size. If this gets to the point where it's hundreds of employees, then I think I'm doing something wrong. I think that it should always be a small little group of people that work with small groups of little people.
Sure. That's a good idea. I like it. So I know whenever we list things, there's always the concern of fees.
Yep.
Can you give us a rundown? So say I have a chip and an epoxy filled necklace, right? Or like a big ass gaudy ring. I mean, whatever. What from the time I log in, to the time I sell, what sorts of fees do I have?
So that's actually something that I did purposely is, I don't like the idea of having listing fees where you pay just to put up a listing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have any listing fees whatsoever. So if you have an idea that, you're wondering, will people buy it? Put it up there. I mean, it's free.
Mm-hmm.
The only fees that I've got are if something actually sells and once there's an order. And those are, it's either $1 or 5% of the transaction, whichever is higher. And the reason for that breakdown is basically before I left my job full time, any orders that were under $15, I was actually losing money on them from the credit card processing.
Mm-hmm.
So that $1 barrier basically just makes sure that I'm not basically losing money on transactions that occur. So that's it. I mean,
so that's it. Just 5% or $1.
Yeah,
whichever's higher. It costs that much to get credit cards processed?
You'd be surprised.
That's absurd.
2.9% plus 30 cents, and that's standard. I use Stripe right now, and that's the same. It's the same price for PayPal for their free service as well.
Huh.
The other option, and this is something that I'm looking into right now, and I'm talking to the Dwala people literally yesterday, today, and tomorrow, is getting Dwala hooked up. So, and that's a much better deal. So it's anything that's under $10 is free, and then anything above that is only 25 cents.
Oh, wow. That's significantly better.
Yeah, so that would change the game up a little bit.
Sure.
And the only caveat with that is the way that they can offer that pricing is that they don't work with the credit card companies. They do it from a bank transfer to basically them to a bank account. So bank account to a bank account.
Sure.
I don't know how many people are going to go for it, but I'm pretty certain that I'm actually push that pretty heavily. It's only available here in the States.
Is it the sort of thing where you can provide that option but keep the other options there as well? I mean, you don't want to cut off any customer, potential customers.
So I have to leave Stripe in place, or either Stripe or if I move directly to PayPal, which isn't something I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if I can push people to do Dwala, then I think ultimately that's a much better system because, paying the credit card companies more money or paying PayPal more money. No. Those are two options I don't really like.
Right.
And really, when you're paying fees out to PayPal, you're actually funding your competition over at eBay because it's the same company.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, exactly. And it's kind of like, a necessary evil in that regard where people that are, abroad or international, they can, they'll only pay with PayPal. I've noticed that a lot of people internationally want to pay with PayPal and they won't do credit cards. So it's a tricky little thing.
So then currently people can pay with credit card?
Yeah, it's just credit card through Stripe right now.
Ah, I see. Okay. All right.
So, and Stripe's great. If you're somebody that's starting out, then I highly recommend it because the API is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The docs are great. I mean, it's super simple. Like it could be, they are literally the gold standard for, how should a company treat developers.
Mm-hmm.
PayPal is probably the worst. And their docs are a mess. They got, you download a 70-page PDF for one API and then realize that you can't actually use it because they don't support your platform. So it's crazy.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Back-end infrastructure stuff like that is always overly annoying to deal with, I find. So it's good to know that there's at least one out there that's pretty easy to get hooked up and working. That's really cool. So I'd like to sort of bring things a little bit back more on topic for ZombieTech wise. This brings up an interesting question in terms of like zombies take over the earth, and you can't do a lot of the transactions the way we'd normally like to. The Tindy sort of reveals one of the aspects of what would happen in that kind of situation. There's going to be one dude who's like looking around. He sees that the blacksmith is doing cool stuff, sees that the candle maker's doing cool stuff, and he notices that all of them suck at marketing. And he's like, I see an opportunity here. And I think Emile is sort of filling that role in our community as makers and hackers.
Sure. Now, I always like asking this. It's kind of, I know it's, well, I'm going off zombies again because, I mean, like, yeah. Okay, so I always like asking the maker of, things that collect projects, right? Like Hackaday. I think I sent an email to Hackaday to see if they'd come on ZombieTech to talk about their projects because they're always talking about other people's projects.
Right.
So you're kind of in that same status where you are a collator of projects, kind of, sort of. Right. Or Tindy is anyway. Do you personally have any projects that you've been working on besides Tindy that you would be able to put on Tindy?
No. So that was, I mean, no, I don't. The only thing I'm working on outside of Tindy is building this little amp kit, the Stella amp kit, which is on Tindy, which, I built the site to learn how to do hardware stuff, learn how to solder, learn Arduinos and mess around with those and how to use them and make cool stuff like, an automated door opener. No, I don't. Actually.
That's cool. Although, I mean, this way you now have your own quasi-personal repository of like all these different kits, like you say, that you can get. And
it doesn't have to go far to get, learning material now.
Yeah,
right.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's very true.
That's the cool thing. The kits are, you can start with something pretty simple, and it actually, I need an amp for my guitar, so this is a win-win.
Sure. Now, okay, so now I will bring this back to zombies.
Cool.
Are there any projects that you think would be totally appropriate for the zombie apocalypse?
I don't know. I'm sure, you could take some of these, the chips are chips, so I'm sure you could, program some of these to do something. I don't think that I don't know. I have absolutely no idea.
Now, Now these, just a random question. I think I probably know the answer to this. the projects don't necessarily need approval, right?
No, it's people just, they throw up whatever.
Okay. What's going to happen if someone puts up like a weapon? Like, say, a laser cannon or something?
I don't know.
That'd be okay. Tindy would be okay with that?
And until I get some like sort of explicit, government, you must take this down. I'm pretty, laissez-faire. And I'll let, a lot of stuff stand.
Okay.
Interesting. eBay had to create some rules for things like body parts and such because people were like
really
selling pieces of themselves and.
Oh my gosh! Awkward.
Weird.
Awkward.
Yeah.
I made this all by myself.
The other thing is that because people are around the world on here, I can't filter it out because just a subset of people can't, are technically not supposed to, or legally not supposed to purchase it.
Right. Oh man, so there's actually quite a bit of legalese that has to go into Tindy to make sure that you're pretty much protected from the world governments. To a certain extent.
Maybe. I mean, literally, I'm not worried about, one day if the site's big enough where something like that has to happen, where people are saying, you have to start filtering.
Sure.
That's a good problem to have.
Sure.
Until then, I'm just going to be like, if you're making something cool that somebody else would think is cool, put it up there and, see what happens.
DIY me.
Yeah.
Right.
So zombie weapons are a go, people. You heard it here.
Yeah. No, that'd be fine.
That'd be so epic.
Quadcopters.
Yeah.
I think like quadcopters. Another thing is, RC planes with like, if we're taking this to Zombieland, you can put some like guns onto an RC plane and have like a camera on it so you could like fly it.
Yeah.
I think that would be amazing. And I think quadcopters would be cool. Maybe like quadcopters with like razor blades.
Oh man!
Honestly, the quadcopters don't need razor blades. You get close to somebody with one of those propellers, and it's gonna rip them up.
It's gonna slash.
My grandfather used to make like the RC planes, and he got a propeller to the leg, so I do know that for certain. So
yeah. We have a lot of friends who fly those kinds of things, and we've heard some stories. I think my favorite one was the quadcopter that bumped into a picnic table and got stuck because its propeller actually embedded itself in the wood.
Oh, man.
Ouch.
Well, have you seen the videos of like the swarms of the copters that are programmed to work in unison?
Yeah. Yep.
See, I think those would be amazing. Send those into like a huge group of zombies and just watch them tear it up. I think that'd be hilarious. Is I guess the right word. Cool.
I think someone should put a Tesla coil on Tindy. I'd buy a Tesla coil.
Yeah.
Like a Tesla weapon coil thing. Set up a defense perimeter. And then have my long range quadcopters loaded with blades and little lasers.
Yeah.
Out there. Yeah. I'd do it.
It's a real shame that the internet will probably go down in case of zombies. Yeah. Because it would be nice to have something like Tindy to pick up items like that in the post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah, and there is local pickup, so it would work. I mean, you wouldn't be able to ship anything, but if somebody was selling something nearby, then you could go get it.
Oh, so you can pick up your thing. Okay.
Yep.
That's quite convenient. Huh. Interesting. And let's see. You guys also have Raspberry Pi things.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Raspberry Pis are crazy popular. Those are blowing up.
Well, and that's the thing. I know they're really popular, but I haven't seen that many projects that folks have been doing with them.
It's still very new. People are still working out a lot of tricks with them.
They're new. They're taking a while. I only got mine maybe like a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
There's such a long back order that
Well, and they're coming out with version 2, I think.
Yeah, I think I heard that.
Yeah, so I don't know, but I mean, I can only imagine if the version 1 is back ordered like 6 months.
Yeah.
What version 2 is going to be like?
Well, I think they're getting the manufacturing down they've started sourcing people here in the States that are going to start doing it.
Good.
I've heard there's a group here in Portland that are going to start making them. They've got the factories in England. They're going to start doing it. So
you're PDX.
Yeah.
Oh, are you part of Dorkbot?
I'm going tonight.
Huzzah! Yeah. So Lane.
Look at you. Yeah.
Huzzah! That's
I know
cool.
Lane. Yeah, I talked to Lane. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been on the show before. He's got a cool little business going there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if little is quite the word, but oh my gosh, you guys are like a freaking Portland powerhouse.
Yeah, I just moved up here less than a year ago for working at Urban Airship, but yeah, Portland is it's legit. There's a lot of people that are, really good at what they do. It's a small community, but really, really good.
Well, so it's still the 90s there, so, things are still awesome.
I know. It's great.
There is no bird, however, on the site.
I did not see any birds on anything.
I'm a little disappointed.
I took this down today. There was I had at the bottom made in Portland, and there was a hover over that had a little GIF from Portlandia. So there was a Portlandia reference, but I just took it down
just avoiding that,
yeah,
inevitable takedown notice. Yeah.
But that would be something great. Is have just a random function that has a bird that just applies a bird randomly to a page. So randomly, people will just all of a sudden have a bird on, sitting on top of a chip or something like that. They won't understand why.
That's awesome. Very nice. I love this, and everybody I've come across who's looked at Tindy, they really like the website. I think they like the layout, so you've done
it's actually cleaned up quite a bit.
You've done a bang-up job.
Yeah. Starting to look professional.
I know. It's getting there, slowly but surely.
Yeah. See, 3D printing I kind of want to see the random. Let's look at random here.
Yeah, the categories need a lot of work.
That's something that'll develop over time, though. And until you have a better idea of exactly what projects are going to be up there a lot. You really can't make categories, but it works for now. It's a small enough pool of things.
Question.
Yeah. Cool. What?
Okay, so I have the chip in an epoxy, right? Mm-hmm. I know that in and of itself might be kind of boring, but what if you had a board in epoxy that did stuff? Would that be okay?
No, that'd be cool.
All right.
Because there's the I emailed the guy that did the headphone amp in epoxy. I don't know if you saw that. It was called Crystal Simoy.
I can look for it, but
yeah. So that was awesome. That was in epoxy, and it was amazing. I would love to have that on the site. So I want to buy one so bad.
Okay. All right. Okay. So as long as it's doing something, so it's okay if there's e-textiles and artsy fartsy things, but they just have to do something.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. Or could it do something, or does it do something? I guess that's the good rule of thumb for this site.
Okay.
I haven't been able to figure out exactly how to tell people. So what can't you put on there? As long as it can do something or does do something. Sounds like a pretty good rule to me.
All right.
I work on the wording, but
right.
Yeah.
One of the large
award-winning slogans here at Tindy.
One of the larger demographics we tend to talk to a lot around here are people who run hacker spaces, have founded hacker spaces, etc.
Yep.
I think that those kinds of organizations are really should find Tindy helpful for funding stuff, for doing, the maker community version of a virtual bake sale, right?
Yeah.
Because you got in a hackerspace, you got a group of people, and they can come up with some sort of a project and make a bunch of whatever, and then they could build up some backstock, and then instead of having to have their entire e-commerce infrastructure built in front of their site, they can actually just take advantage of Tindy being there, and that can help lower their membership fees.
We'll have to spread the word, I think, to the hackerspaces.
Well, I have been already, but I will continue to do so. Obviously, I think it's a great idea.
Stickers made, so I'm trying to get stickers and shirts and stuff made as quickly as possible. But it just takes so much time to figure this stuff out. But eventually, I'll be sending stickers out to hackerspaces. So
awesome!
I'm totally in favor. So
awesome.
Yeah, we know people at like Pumping Station 1, the Geek Group, Heatsink Labs,
Dorkbot, but you're obviously
right
there
there
already.
Yeah.
Where else?
Well, soon, hopefully, our own Rochester.
We've got a million friends at Valve.
Yes.
Get you some stickers up there. I'm sure they would sort of... they probably all have stuff that they probably should sell, but they're all a bunch of pack rats, and they probably would never sell any of it.
Yeah. Ah, well. But now, here are the actual ZombieTech podcast questions that we ask all of our guests.
All right.
So, the top 3 tools you would bring to a zombie apocalypse bunker.
I think an axe needs something with a little distance, but something that, is effective.
Sure.
Next would be... Ooh, this is a great question. And I'm a really big fan of Walking Dead, so this is...
Axes have always made me a little bit nervous, because when you hit the zombies, it sort of sprays back at you, and you've got exposed mucous membranes in your eyes unless you're wearing some sort of goggles, your eyes and gums, But
you gotta
it would make me nervous.
You got to have something that, that you don't have to reload. I mean, if it's a gun, the gun is,
loud.
You're gonna run out of bullets. I'm planning for a long game here. I'm not, I'm planning to, outlive the swarm. So.
Yep.
What else? Oh man. Oh, here's one. Some sort of solar stove type thing, something to cook with. You gotta have something.
All right.
You're not gonna have fuel, so some sort of battery, solar, something or other that you can charge stuff with.
Have you seen those solar cookers with the parabolic mirrors?
Yeah.
Those things are crazy. They can do things like burn a hole right through wood and stuff, just with a tiny little mirror that just happens to be curved a little bit. It's great.
Okay, scratch that. I'll take that one instead. that's
charbroiled.
Yeah, and you could burn the zombies from a distance.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Some of those bigger ones, man, you'd burn a hole right through a zombie with them.
Right. Yeah.
They've got one at the Geek Group that's 2.5, 3 feet wide, and it showed up in one of their videos as they're walking around, and somebody was trying to show the camera it.
Oh my!
But it was outside. They were unloading it from a car. And the guy who actually knew what it was screamed, and he ran over there, and he's like, "Don't turn it over! You will kill us all!" And he flipped it upside down. He's like, "Oh, that was close."
What else? I don't know. It was a third. Man, I don't know.
An axe, a parabolic solar cooker.
Yeah.
Hole blower into zombies.
Just be careful how you wear that. That could get nasty.
Yep.
Make a great turtle shell, though. If you were to add some maybe carbon fiber or something to the back side of that mirror, you could just wear it as a shell on your back.
Oh my!
Because it's already got that parabolic shape thing going. You're a humpback, right?
There you go. Yeah, your own version of it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
Right.
Zombies.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing for the third.
Okay, well then how about a project from Tindy?
That I have to take with me?
Yeah, that'd be appropriate.
Man. These are tough. I should have prepped for this. Man. I don't know. Maybe I would just go
last week we were talking to Jeff, and he said well, I sort of interrupted him in the middle, too, and we got going off on this thing about how he wanted a dirigible, blimp, but he wanted to bring cows with him, and I reminded him that cow farts float, and that you could use cow poop to run your engines to actually turn the turbines and move forward. So, sometimes the tools get pretty ridiculous when we when we get the best list of 3 that's possible.
Right.
And the week before that, we were talking to a NASA engineer who worked on the Apollo manned flight vehicles. And what he decided he wanted for one of his was the laser cannon off of Curiosity, because he wanted to do molecular, spectrum analysis on the composition of the zombies to create a cure while also blasting holes in them.
Right. See, I've never understood the whole thing of cures. I don't think you can ever really cure. I don't think that's possible. I've never understood that.
Do you think the zombies will die out eventually?
I think they will. I think that's what you got to plan for is outliving them.
Okay.
Because once your whole body is dead and rotting, or you really, even if you were cured, at that point your body's open to so much infection that you got to believe that the person's just going to die from the open wounds.
Right.
Just saying.
Right.
It's always something I've thought about.
Right.
My 2 cents.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one.
We agree.
The metabolism thing.
So far, our biological experts here on ZombieTech concur with your conclusions. So
thank you.
We've referred many doctors to this question so far, and we've gotten really high level professional feedback on this question.
Verification.
Yeah, I think we can verify that that's probably the case. The zombie apocalypse won't last very long.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, here's the third thing.
Yeah.
I bring seeds. So
okay.
Plant. Make food. There's the third thing.
Brilliant.
Done.
Totally accept. And then the book you would bring to the zombie apocalypse bunker.
Oh man. Look, you're killing me here. All right.
Once the zombies are done, you're going to need to rebuild society.
So, what book would it be? So I've got a couple of thoughts on that. So you could have a technical book on something that's going to help you actually sort of jumpstart kind of civilization, so to speak. Yeah, I guess that would have to be it. Something. Oh man. It could either be personal, something that you enjoy, something practical, or something crazy practical that you may not understand, but if you figure it out, then it'll help you, how to start a nuclear reactor or something like that.
So not like Dummy's Guide to DHTML4 or something.
Yeah, no, or Idiot's Guide to JavaScript. Definitely not. No. So I don't know, nuclear reactor or something or other.
Right.
Atomic physics, particle physics stuff. That's pretty good information to have around. It's useful for a lot of things. And it's not the sort of thing that most people walk around keeping in their head. If you're working on that sort of thing, you're going to be using reference material. You're not going to wing it on a notepad or the back of a napkin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I figure the first thing you want is electricity.
Mm-hmm.
If you can get electricity going, then, a lot of, you can get a pretty good, you're most of the way there in terms of, getting civilization back to normal.
And one of the most important things in getting civilization rebooted is the ability to do a division of labor and to be able to trade goods and services in a standardized and organized fashion. And obviously, this week's guest gets that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good point.
All right, where can people find out extra information about what you're doing over there? We know we got Tindy.com, but I believe there's a Twitter.
Yeah, we got. I got the Tindy Twitter account from a friend at Twitter, which was fortunate.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so at TINDIE, and there's a Facebook page as well. If you come to the site, definitely check out the forums because we have a lot going on in the forums. So that's one place that if you're interested in kind of getting in with the Tindy community, definitely check those out. Because I've been adding more and more to that because we seem to write a lot.
So
awesome.
I know a lot of our listeners are the sorts of people that would buy stuff from Tindy.
And put stuff on it.
A lot of our listeners are the sort of people who make things and might want to sell them on Tindy. So you're getting both kinds here. Thank you for joining us this week. It was really fun.
Yeah.
It's always fun to have a different kind of guest, and we always appreciate people who are starting their own business and getting out there and making something new and making something that is useful to so many people. We definitely appreciate what you're doing, and good luck in having a very successful time with this. We'll do everything we can to help you out.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, that's it for us for this week. You can find this show every Thursday at ZombieTech.tv. I usually put it up in the evening, so it'll download overnight, be on your phone for your commute to work on Friday, whatever you want to do. iTunes, there's an RSS feed there. Works easy. You can also just hit play on the website if that's the way you roll. And, well, that's it for us for this week. We'll be back next week. Bye.
Bye.